With Tower of Nero coming in soon, the fact that the Percy Jackson saga is coming to an end with this book is a sad fact, but there is some interesting and good news that may come on alongside that, and that is spin-off series. Oh yeah guys, we're getting into that because in an article interviewing Rick to do with the Tower of Nero, we got a hint at an idea of some spin-off one-shot sort of stories and story collections that may come in future. So today I'm looking at what those could be and basically kind of saying what I want to see happen and maybe talking a little bit about what you guys want. But this is my channel, so it's mainly going to be about me really. But let's get into the first idea, which is the Hunters of Artemis short story collection. And oh my god, I want this so badly. The Hunters of Artemis are kind of a bit recluse. We don't really know anything about them except Joe and Emmy that we meet in Trials of Apollo are a couple from the Hunters of Artemis who obviously they turned their back on romance, so when they started to fall in love they chose to leave the Hunters and they left on good terms, perfectly happy, they are happy themselves, they have a daughter, everything beautiful. Then of course we know Talia, the new lieutenant of the Hunters of Artemis, spoilers for Tyrants 2. Raina has also now joined because she feels that is the right place for her, and then we know a few others in the form of Zoe Nightshade and Bianca D'Angelo, both of whom have unfortunately passed. We've met a few others along the side such as Phoebe, who I think has also died if I can remember correctly, but other than that we don't really know anything. And what I would love to see is not only a modern look at it with Talia and Raina as part of the Hunters, but similar to the Camp Jupiter Confidential series, which has a new member to Camp Jupiter who we don't really know before, telling their journey in Camp Jupiter. I would love to see the same throughout history of the Hunters of Artemis series, and it could be different hunters who are involved with it. Imagine a trans woman hunter telling her story and acceptance. That would be beautiful. There are so many things that could come out from it. We can get more insight to Zoe Nightshade over her time as the lieutenant for the Hunters. We can get more insight to what Talia is like as a hunter. Other than the few times that we meet her, we don't really see much difference with her. There's not really anything different about her as a character, so we kind of don't gain as much. But to get an insight into what she's like with the Hunters and what she's like as a leader, I'm down for it. And also to see this happier side of Raina in the Hunters as well, and maybe even getting some insight to Bianca and her moments that she was able to have with the Hunters before her unfortunate death. Things like that I think would be incredible to see, as well as to understand a little bit more about what the Hunters are like and what they do. Second is the one I think everyone is going to be talking about, and admittedly it's not one I personally agree with because I don't think it has enough of a story that can be given, but that is a Solange, which is the ship name for Nico D'Angelo and Will Solis. A collection of short stories, or a short story / novella of them getting together, them as a couple, all these sort of things, and some insight into that. I think there's something interesting that could be done with it, especially in the whole lead up to their relationship, which is something we don't see in canon. We just know they end up together because when we meet them in Trials of Apollo, they're together. But maybe something in between those parts there, and maybe them going on a quest together or something like that. There is potential. I'm not the biggest fan of it just because I feel it won't be an interesting enough of a story, but I'm down to see what could happen with it if it does become a thing. So a Solange short story / novella is something I can get on board with. As a whole, short story collections of new demigods. Like, I don't know if anyone knows this, but Jacqueline Wilson, love her, brilliant author. She did this series called the Worry website, which has a different character telling their worries and concerns in their life in each different chapter. I want that for demigods. I want a new demigod on each different chapter telling their life in either camp. It could be camp Jupiter, it could be Camp Half-Blood, it could be anything. It could even be before they even get to camp. But I would love to see this perspective of new demigods, old, young, anything. I would love to see, just to get some more insight into the demigod way of life. They don't even need to be in the US, because nicest way, I'm kind of getting sick of stories in the US. When they were in Europe, that was pretty interesting. But anything like that, just short stories showing the world of demigods would be pretty cool. And then I think probably the biggest one, other than the Hunters of Artemis, that I want so bad. The one that I think we all kind of deserve a little bit, especially with everything that happened with the Burning Maze, is a Jason Grace collection of stories, or his backstory, a sort of mini prequel sort of thing, similar to the Diary of Lucas Stellan, but just a little bit longer. And whether that be a collection of short stories for Camp Jupiter itself, because Camp Jupiter Confidential doesn't really do that. A story from Jason's perspective before Camp Jupiter, or during the start of his time in Camp Jupiter, to get to know him a little bit more. Maybe even The Last Olympian told from the Camp Jupiter side. Just saying that now, I want that. That's what I want. I want the Camp Jupiter side of The Last Olympian, battle for Manhattan, or in this case, battle at Mount Orthos, or Orthos, whatever it's pronounced. That is an interesting story that could be given to give an idea of to who Jason was as a person, because obviously this was something that we were told and not shown in The Lost Hero, which, if you haven't seen that video, I'll card it, and that was one of my biggest complaints. But to get a prequel, in a sense, of that, from Jason's perspective, seeing what he dealt with, seeing and understanding his role in Camp Jupiter, and understanding his role in that battle at Mount Orthos, or whatever it's called, is something I think the fandom would be interested to see this side of Jason. Considering he was meant to be this rival to Percy, and maybe even be stronger than Percy. We don't see that in the series itself, but this would be the perfect opportunity to see that, as well as having a brilliant send-off for him, because that's what the boy deserves, considering everything he's been through. So that would be a brilliant story. The Last Olympian, but Jason's perspective. And yeah, those are some ideas that I've had of what we can have of a spin-off series. But what do you guys think? What would you like to see as a spin-off or collection of short stories in the Wildenverse? Whatever the case, let me know in the comment section down below. Before I sign off, I want to give a massive thank you to today's thumbnail image, which is the fantastic Crow cosplay from Instagram, who is known for their cosplay work of Zoe Nightshade, and has even been featured with some big well-known cosplayers, and they deserve way more attention than they get. So their social media is linked down below, so go follow them, go support them. And to Crow Cosplay, thank you so much for letting me use this image. Again, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. In the description box you will find the links to all of my social media, my merchandise store, and my Patreon, where if you can support me there, that would be great. But if not, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.